right, ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to welcome you to the second edition of our Season 2 Project 14 Knowledge Up. And it feels so good to be back here today. And I strongly hope for those of us that joined us last month's edition, if you were able to get great value. I record clearly that the first edition in the Season 2, we discussed about building adversity intelligence or developing adversity intelligence. So if you are joining us today and you've not seen or you missed that episode, I encourage you to please go to our YouTube channel and watch the full presentation or the full training or the full conversation. So today promises to be another great event, another great learning session. And I'm so glad that today we have one of our best, a woman of great substance. She's so powerful in her delivery, and I know a good number of you will connect, okay? I'm going to hand over to Progress, and she's going to moderate this session with her very shortly, but I would like to do the introduction, and Madame Merola, I feel so delighted to have you on this session today. You were one of our powerful faculty members at the Season 1. So for those of you that want to watch the last time we hosted Madame Merola, I typically like to call her the bank creator. I will encourage you to please go to the YouTube channel. Just look for Project 40, put Madame Merola, then you watch a full presentation of that very first time we hosted Madame Merola. Now, Madame Merola, there are 5 questions. Now, before you come up, okay? Before you come up, there are 5 questions I would like you to please focus on today. About 11 or 12 years ago, a concept came to me, and the concept was called social capital. When I discovered the meaning and the right use of social capital, my life practically changed. Now today, we'll be talking about brand capital. We'll be talking about developing your brand capital. Tell me who best to talk to us about this, if not Madame Merola. So Madame Merola, I've got 5 questions for you before you come up. But before I do that, on behalf of all our team at the Project 40 Knowledge Up, we'll be delighted to present this to you for your contribution towards the success of Season 1 Project 40. So, Madame Merola, this is your award, okay? And we are going to send this to your doorstep, okay? And it's just our simple token of appreciation for the support you've been providing us at Project 40. Now, what is Project 40? For those of you joining me for the first time today, Project 40 is a unique movement of young, forward-thinking African entrepreneurs or workplace professionals that desire to achieve greatness before the age of 40. And of course, for those above 40 that are desirous to even achieve greater feats, and they are using 40 as a symbol of remembrance that they need to do more. And the whole idea of Project 40 is to help every one of us to achieving more. All right? So 5 questions I have for Madame Merola before she comes up, and Progress will take it up from there. The first question, Madame Merola, is what is your best definition of branding based on the new market, on the new workplace and, of course, marketplace realities? Second question, Madame Merola, is in the business sense, what is capital? And of course, number 3 question is, give us 5 strategies to building a sustainable brand capital. And number 4, what are the factors that could attack or reduce the value of our existing brand capital, and how can we prevent such attack? Then finally, I would like you to conclude with your tip to ending, or your tips to ending 2022 strong. I want to end 2022 strong. Everyone on this call today want to end 2022 strong. So thank you so very much, everyone, for joining us today. So, Madame Merola, how are you? And welcome to this edition. Feels good to have you, ma'am.
So good evening to everyone here at the Project 14 Knowledge Hub. Good evening, Progress. And good absentia as well. I know for Jesus for letting me know you can hear me. Awesome of us here and of this edition because and today I'm going to be talking about developing your brand capital brand, especially when it comes to our modern take in society right now. So for me, the way I'll define brand to someone's mind, someone's view of pick brand, or they think about your organization, which is your company brand, or they think about your products or services. Okay. So whatever it is that comes to the top mind recall about you, your organization, those things are components of what will make your brand perception in the ever encountered or experienced your brand. Branding is how you now showcase your company, your products and services, or yourself to the rest of the world. That is the reason why we always say that a brand is an entity, even though it's is intangible, and branding is the process from everybody else. Why? Because if they can't tell the difference between you and somebody else, then you're not a brand, you're just a commodity. You're a faceless, nameless person. So it's from everybody else and has its own unique characteristics and properties that makes people to be able to say, this is a brand. So when you think about a place, when you think about an organization, when you think about commodity, something that is generic, something that will make you come back again over and over again, you might say, oh, yeah, recognizable. Okay, so I can just answer them, go on and just answer all of them as I recall them because there were 5 questions. So the second question, and capital in the broader sense is just basically wealth. It's assets. Okay, so if you put the two words together, value, what is the kind of wealth or asset that your brand brings into play that makes calling? Some brands are actually seen to be much more valuable than other brands. So for instance, when you look at certain things that are in the market, let's just take mobile phones, for instance, right? So you're going to have different brands. So we've got Huawei brand, much premium value for Samsung and iPhone over and stuff is because of what this perception in our minds that Samsung, if Infinix brings out a phone and puts it at a price point of 300,000, 400,000, guess what? Many people will not buy it. Why? Because Infinix has not developed its brand capital to the level whereby people will actually believe that it is worth that amount of money. It's the same thing as people. If someone is willing to pay premium value to listen to Dr. Abioye Oke speak for an hour, and then they hear another person's name, and that person has no brand identity, that person has nothing that we call brand capital, and they put a price tag of 500,000 to listen to that person for maybe a series or whatever. It was Tony Elumelu. Guess you will pay because you'll be like, these are people that are titans of their industries. These are people that we have actually gotten to see that they are worth that amount of money because of what they've achieved in life. So if you want people to take you seriously, you have to think about your brand capital. If you want people to take your products and services seriously, organization to be able to charge premium fees, you have to think about your brand capital. Your brand capital is your asset. It's that thing that allows people to say that you deserve to charge this amount of money. You deserve premium recognition. You deserve than just being average, rather than just being mediocre, it will allow you to have value in the eyes of your. Can you guys hear me? Because so I need to know, can you still hear me? Oh, fantastic. She's nodding her head. Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay. So as I said, brand capital is the perceived premium value a customer has of you. It's an asset. And what is an asset? An asset is something that must accrue in value from time. So most of the time, what we always tend to do is that we look at things and then we don't realize that as brand capital, we should actually have an upward stream in terms of what our assets is commanding. Most of the times they have things called depreciating assets, right? So you buy a car, which you actually think is an asset, but what it's doing is that it's decreasing in value over time. It's not the same with your brand. If you get the mix right, your brand should actually accrue in value. So when you check the network for people like the net worth of people like Oprah Winfrey, of Aliko Dangote, over the years, their brand equity is increasing, not decreasing. So if you think about what are the things that can actually attack your brand value, I'm going to mention some of them to you. And I'm going to give you a perfect example because all of us can relate to this, okay? So when you think about Donald Trump, before Donald Trump became the president of the United States of America, he had a very high value worth in terms of brand. Anything associated with his name came at a premium level. You will buy into anything that Donald Trump was producing 5 years ago. Why? Because we felt that he was someone of integrity. He was someone who had driven results. He was someone that we wanted to associate with. Guess what? Because of his mannerism and also the way he went about being the president of the United States, the things he said, the things he did, his reputation took a plummeting, and it also ended up affecting his brand capital. Now his brand capital is so low that many of us will not buy into anything once we hear the name Donald Trump associated with it. Why? Because we feel like this is not someone that we want to associate with. This is not someone we respect. This is not someone we value. So therefore, anything with his name attached to it also has no amount of value to us anymore, and we will not want to pay premium for it. So those are the kind of things that can actually mess up your brand capital, your reputation. So you must protect your reputation and your integrity with everything within you. Guard it jealously, because one single huge mistake you make can end up ruining all the capital you've been building over the years. The capital you build is not something that you can just do overnight and think that, wow, I start today and next week I'm just going to be a superstar. No, you have to think long term. You have to play what we call the long con game. You have to think about it as something that you're going to leave behind as a legacy. You have to think about it as something that you must consistently and be committed to building. Build it on a platform of integrity. Build it on a platform of authenticity. Build it on a platform of originality. Build it on a platform of something that is truly intrinsic with who you are. If you do not do that, guess what? You will come crashing real quick because it takes time. There are processes in building your brand capital. You have yourself, and you cannot accrue results and also the viability that you need if you do not take your time. When you rush in building your brand equity and capital, you will end up making a lot of mistakes. You will end up making promises you cannot deliver on. And then you end up disappointing people. You end up being called a fraud. You end up losing credibility amongst people. So take your time when you're building your brand capital. Don't try and become an overnight wonder. Try and remember that, as I said, you have to live what you're saying, and people have to see that you are truly credible, because you have to stay in the game for a long enough period for people to trust you. If they don't trust you, they will not buy into what you're doing. They will not buy into you as a person, and your capital gains cannot increase. So that is the reason why I say Take your time. All these things about, wanting to just, make it overnight. You want to be, you want to blow like that. All those things do not have sustainability. Check it. The people that are still at the top for 10 years, 20 years are people that went through the processes. They took their time. They knew that they were willing to pay the price in order to obtain the price. Do not rush when it comes to building your brand equity. You started today. Don't expect to have 10,000 followers on your social media page in 5 days. That is the reason why I tell people you are shooting yourself in the foot by buying followers. Why? Because it is so obvious to us when we look at the matrix of your social media feeds. When you tell us that, oh, I've got 20,000 followers, when you post things, when you have events and stuff, and not even 1% are actually flowing with the things you do, it is obvious to us that you bought followers or you did something to gain those people, but then they're not really your tribe. They're not people that are flowing with you. They're not people that have actually bought into what you're saying. It's just not worth it to buy followers. It's not worth it to do things that are shady just to be able to have what I call popularity contest. That is not what brand capital is all about. Your brand capital is about your credibility and value. If your value is true, people will see that you cannot fake it till you make it. You have to live it till you become it. Okay? True value takes time. So don't be in a hurry to succeed. Don't be in a hurry to become premium. Everybody's Oprah Winfrey started from somewhere. Richard Branson started from somewhere. Go and check the history. Check the stories behind the brands that you love. Check the companies that you want to emulate. And you see that it was not an overnight success. Amazon did not become an overnight success. They have been building on their processes. They have been innovating. They have been making do and changing things. And they built everything on the policy of being customer-centric. What will people know you for? It's very important. If they don't know you for something, guess what? You'll be anything to anyone. So what are the 5 factors that can affect your brand capital that you must be aware of? Number 1, your brand awareness. How many people know you exist? How many people know you exist as a company? How many people are aware that you have a product or a service that is of value to them? How many people know your name? You have to think about it, and you need to build the process. And that's why I say that you cannot just start to become someone who is well known overnight. It takes time. So you need to start to tell yourself, how can I get more people to know that I exist? And that is what is the beauty of the social media that we have right now. Do you have a website? Do you have a social media platform that is active? Not just you having a website or having a social media page that is very sporadic. You show up once in a while. No, you have to be committed and intentional about growing your voice, growing your influence. And the way you do that is by having the platforms that you know where your target markets are, the people you want to be able to reach out to, and then you start to build there. Show up. Share things of content. Speak about the things that you want people to know. And then before you know it, people will start to hear you. People will start to see you. People will start to recognize what your mission is, what your message is, what you're trying to stand for. And they will start to vibe with you. You are not created to serve everybody. So don't try and use a voice or use a methodology that other people have used that is not in sync with who you are. That's why I talked about authenticity. You have to be authentic for you to be able to build your brand capital the right way, in which it accrues in value over time. What's the second thing? Brand image. Your brand image must be synonymous with who you are. Your brand image tells people what you stand for, what you're all about, what your passion is. So if you're not clear about communicating this to people, people will be confused about you. And that's the reason why I always tell people, sit down and actually go through the process of building your brand with someone who can take you through the rudiments of what are essential. If you are not crystal clear, people will be confused with your messaging. People will just think that, oh, you are just a pretty face or a handsome guy that is all about this and that and whatever, and they'll make up their own minds about you. Your brand image needs to be crystal clear. It also needs to be consistent. So that's why when we tell you that the colors you use, just imagine if you were to go out right now and then you wanted to buy an iPhone and it did not have the Apple logo. Instead, it had an orange logo. Would you buy it? It's because you've already attributed the brand image for iPhones to be with the Apple logo, not an orange logo. So it's the same thing. When you don't show your face, when you don't attach who you are as a person to the things you do, people will not be able to actually build that correlation. They will not be able to actually identify with you as a person. That's why when you select your colors should remain the same for as long as it takes. And if you do a brand overhaul, if you end up rebranding, make it public so that people don't get confused. Your brand image is your identity to the people. It's what is the visual image that they remember about you. It is what will come to their mind every time they think about you. Your brand image can be good, it can be bad, it can be average, depending on how intentional you are about it. So then that comes the next thing. Number 3 is your perceived quality. Your brand image affects the perceived quality people have about you. If you want to stand out as premium, you have to look premium. Your products and services have to be of premium quality. You cannot be telling people to pay $1,000 to be able to get into your coaching program. And everything you do is so shoddy, it's so average, it's so basic. There is nothing there that speaks the worthiness of the amount you're trying to charge. So your perceived quality must be in line with your brand image. If you want to attract quality, guess what? You've got to be quality yourself. If you want people to be attracted to your value, showcase value, give the highest value. Value attracts value. You cannot make money without giving value. And if you're not making money, go back and ask yourself, that means that the things I am doing is not of value to the people I'm trying to sell to. So 2 things could be going on right here. Either you're selling to the wrong people or your value is not as great as you think it is. Value attracts value. So when you want people to be attracted to what you do, ask yourself, am I giving the highest value that I can give? Don't just be focused on the money. Be focused on the fact that people gravitate to the things that solves their problem, to the things that makes them better than they came, things that would heighten or improve their lives. So if you want people to gravitate to your brand, make sure that you give the highest value at every single time. If they invite you to come and speak somewhere, even if they don't pay you, over deliver as if somebody was paying you ₦1 million or $1 million. Never ever be below the standard you want people to perceive you for, regardless of how much value in terms of dollar signs or naira signs someone has placed beside. Why? Because you are more than that. The value inside of you cannot be seen until you push it out, until you display it. So no matter how much you tell yourself, I am worth more than this, nobody is going to know how much you're worth until you showcase that worth, until you prove your worth to them. So never get tired of showing your value, your worth every single time. Then the 4th thing is brand association. Brand association, that's number 4. Who are the people that are associating with your brand? That is the reason why you see what we call collaborations happening now. Who are the people that can endorse your brand? Can someone of worthiness and notability say that, oh, Madame Merola is the real deal? You can go to her and she will give you premium value. Can someone mention your name, Kolawole Longe, and say that, oh my God, Kolawole will deliver excellence every single time? It's what we call brand association. If you do not have people of the same type of value or higher value, willing to collaborate with you, willing to refer you, willing to vouch for you, then you need to go and rethink your brand association. If people that are doing well in life, that are seen as the leaders in the pack of a particular industry, are not even willing to be able to stand beside you, to be able to say that, yes, I'm willing to go on the same platform with this woman. I'm willing to speak on her behalf. I'm willing to work with her. You need to go back and ask, what am I doing that is not attracting the right kind of people? And that goes back again to what I said. Value attracts value. Many of us, we are actually down. We're not doing well when it comes to giving real value. We are so concerned about money to the part we forget that money is a derivative. It comes from delivering value. If you don't deliver value, nobody will be moved enough to be able to want to pay you money for it. We forget that people are moved by their emotions. Have you spoken to people's emotions? Have you been able to attach yourself to them in such a way that they are just moved on an emotional and on an intellectual level to say that I am going to pay this woman whatever she asks me unquestionably? You have to get to that point whereby whatever you say, people will say, Madam, consider it done. Send me the account number. I'm paying right now. It's because your value has been seen. Your value has been actually verified. If you are not associating with the right kind of people, trust me, your brand value will not go up. So you need to start to check the circle in which you walk in. Check the cycle of people that you have been attaching yourself to. Check the inner circle around you, and then ask yourself, have I grown too big for this circle and I need to expand my level of thinking and my level of association so that I can challenge myself, so I can stretch? Because when you are too comfortable where you are, you become complacent. You find yourself coasting. And guess what? We live in such a dynamic world that if you are coasting, you are not growing. If you're not innovating, you are stagnating. So you must constantly be innovating. You must constantly be thinking of what's next. You must constantly be asking yourself, what can I do better? Even if it's just 1%, what else can I teach? Even if it's 1% more value than what I did yesterday. Every day you're alive is an opportunity for you to increase the value you give to people. So you must always be someone who is heavily invested on innovating themselves, innovating the knowledge, innovating what they produce, innovating the services that you provide, innovating in terms of the people you associate with. You should not still be hanging with the same crowd only that you've been hanging out with for the past 2 years. You should have added on to yourself people of more worth, people of more prestige, because of the fact that your own value that you give is also increasing. That is what is called brand capital. It has to increase. And then the final one, number 5, is brand loyalty. Brand loyalty. What are you doing that will make people loyal to you? That they will say, no, if it's not Madame Merola, I don't want it. If it's not Coca-Cola, I don't want it. If it's not Apple, I don't want it. Brand loyalty comes from the fact that there is something about you, your company, your product or services that makes someone so satisfied, that makes someone feel so good, that makes someone feel the attachment is so strong that they will constantly and repetitively keep buying into you, keep buying from you, keep buying what you do. Why? Because they feel that they are just attached to what you do. That's why you find some people will never change some certain brands of soap. They will not change some certain brands of restaurants that they go to. Why? Because there is brand loyalty. There has to be something you are doing that is making people to be attached to you. How well are you serving your customers? How well are you serving your community? How well are you serving the people that you want to be attached to you, that will make them come back over and over and over again? You must always think about brand value. Then finally, what are the things that you need to do to build your brand capital? Number one, build awareness of your brand identity. Number two, communicate what you stand for. Number three, reshape how customers think about you. So when you go back to the drawing board and you see that the idea, the principles, the thoughts people have of you is not right, go back and start to ask yourself, what are the key words I want people to think whenever they think of my name, whenever they associate themselves with my products and services or with my organization? Then build with those words in mind. And then finally, learn to build a deeper bond with your customers. Why? Because they are the ones that will stand for you as your brand ambassadors. They're the ones that will be able to refer you. They're the ones that will be able to increase your reputation by sharing your worth and your value with everyone else. And of course, remember that a brand capital is something of perceived value. Ask yourself, what is my perceived value and how can I increase it? And let that be at the forefront of your mind every single day so that you will continue to increase your brand worth, and also your brand capital will speak for you long after you've left this earth. So finally, what is my final words to you as to how you can stay strong and end this year on the right note? I want you to be able to take an inner look at yourself. Go back and do an introspective dive as to how you've been doing so far. Then narrow down your goals right now to 1 or 2 maximum. One that you've always wanted to do in 2022, you've not yet done it. Narrow down every for yourself that I've got between everything you have into it. Just go learn and sacrifice whatever you need to sacrifice to get it done. And above all, have faith. Because if you don't believe in yourself, if you don't believe that you are able to do it, you are not going to be able to do it. What you think is what you become. And what you become is a testament to your commitment. Be committed, be consistent, and have faith. Thank you very much.
Wow, 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 wow. Oh my God, please. I just want to give a round of applause, like standing ovation. It's just been back to back to back. In fact, you just kissed.
Thank you.
Kept it. She absolutely kept it short and simple. She kept it short and simple. That's beautiful. Very beautiful. There's just a lot of authenticity, intentionality, integrity, everything. Oh my God. Like, if you didn't have your P square, I don't know how you put all this in your head, because it's just been, my paper is basically full. And I just want to say a very big thank you. And I know before we allow you go, please let's appreciate our amiable speaker. Our amicable and delectable, amazing speaker for today. It's just been beautiful. And I just want to say, on behalf of each and every one of us, thank you so much. Let's take 1 or 2 questions before we call it a night, so we can allow her go and have a good night rest. So Mr. Kola Wale was on point back to back. In fact, if you don't have a question, it means today, because I could see your notes on the chat section and a lot of other people that chat room very active. So quickly, let's take 2 questions from anybody that have 1 or 2 questions to ask our speaker before she has to take her leave, because we've zapped her enough already today. Let's leave some for tomorrow. Let's leave some. Let's leave some for tomorrow. And we all know the importance of having a brand. It's no longer news. Personal branding is key. Personal branding is key. And one thing that you said that really struck out for me is the fact that everything about the kind of brand you want to create and basically how you want people to perceive you is not something you dabble into. Intentionality is key when building your personal brand. So I don't know if we have one or two questions. Amazing session already. It's been an amazing session already. Okay, we have a question from Mr. Jasper, and his question is how do you tackle objections in trying to build brand association? How do you tackle objections in trying to brand association? Madame Merola, if you can quickly help us show more light on that question. Chat section. We have another question from.
So when you come and meet,
no.
Okay. So should I go ahead?
Yes, please go ahead.
So people are attracted to value. So when you want to associate, when you want someone else of another brand to associate with you, the first thing they're going to think of is what's in it for them. So if it's not going to actually aid their brand, they're most likely going to reject you. That's why I said that always ask yourself every day, how much value is attached to me as a personal brand, as a company, and as a product? Because if they do not see anything they're going to gain by attaching themselves to your brand, they're most likely going to refuse the association. So Lifestyle Hub will not want to associate with someone that does not have a good reputation, that does not have anything of worth that is going to also hype their own brand. It's the same thing with anybody. We are all inherently selfish. We want another person's brand that has value to also come and increase our own value. So there must be something about you that would help or aid another person's brand. So that's why I say, keep building your value. Value is not something that is abstract. Value is something that people must be able to feel. People must be able to put dollar and sign and pounds to it to say that this person can give this amount of value. And that's the only way you start to see people actually buy into what you do, okay? So think about that. So don't start from a high point when you want to get brand association. Look for people that are on the same level with you or just slightly higher than you, instead of going for the one that the gap is too much, because most likely you're just going to get a flat refusal. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I don't know if that answers that question. Thank you so much. We have another question from Jasper. I want to believe she has beautifully answered your question. Don't him too high. Build your value to get there before you start. Aiming for somebody that is way beyond. How do you recover?
Okay. So what was the next question? Okay, there's another question here. Oluwafumike says, talking about authentic, as an entrepreneur, can I imitate what bigger brands do and still stand out? Okay, you already used the word imitate, right? Imitation means that you're a copy of somebody else. So why would I want to pay premium for someone that is a copy version of somebody else? Authenticity means looking inwards and asking yourself, what is your unique selling point? What makes you so different? Okay. People can do the same thing, but how you do what you do makes a huge difference. So it could be your personality. It could be that little spin you put on things that allows you to stand out. If you copy and paste what someone else is doing, I can guarantee you are not going to stand out. You are going to be lost in the shuffle of everybody that is doing the things same way. And that is the biggest problem we have in Nigeria. People are not creative. They're not using their creative skills that God has given them to be able to utilize it to stand out. There is something you can do. There is one thing you can improve on. There is one layer you can add to what already exists. You don't need to start from the very beginning, but you can say what already exists that I can add one layer, one piece, 1 point, and just make it that little more different that people will be able to say, aha, I noticed something different about this one. It's not the usual. That's why when you're making things like that is standard, like washing up liquid and stuff, and then you use the same colored bottles, and then you use the same type of labels, and then you use the same type of fragrance, guess what? People are just going to go and buy the ones they're already used to. But when you come and you just distort the whole place, so don't be afraid to be a disruptor in your industry. When people are going left, maybe you should go right. Just disrupt everything just to be able to make people take notice of you. I always say that there are only two ways people will remember you. Either you're really, really good or you're really, really bad. Either you're really, really ordinary or you're really, really crazy. So if you want to stand out, be a disruptor, okay? Be a disruptor. Don't copy. Be an original. Originality will always make you stand out. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, ma'am. Jasper said he's satisfied with the answer. I believe we've talked about character assassination.
Okay, character assassination. I didn't see that one. Okay, when faced with character as this is a question that is so easy for me to answer. I have been character assassinated many, many times. The people that have said things about me that were so untrue.
Having question marks.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so I said character assassination is something I can easily answer because I've gone through it. And I'm still going to go through it. As long as you're alive, people are going to assassinate your character because some people are just going to be plain jealous. Some people have nothing better to do with their time than to try and pull you down. So you need to ask yourself the honest truth and say that what they're saying, is it true? If it is true, check yourself and then make sure you improve. Change, yes. But if it's not true, just let it wash over you. Don't just let it roll and just say that, you know what? If you are not doing something great, they won't talk about you. And just know that it's because you are actually making an effort. That's the reason why people are having that time and space to be able to be sitting down and checking everything you're doing and say, oh, look at her hair, look at this. She's not nice. She doesn't smile. She's da, 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 da. Whatever it is, as long as it's not true, don't take it personal. If you are doing well in life, people will speak about you. Even when you are dead, some people will still speak about you. Talk less of when you are alive. Don't let it bother you. Character assassination is actually defined as when somebody is defaming you, saying something that is untrue. So when they're speaking things that are not true, don't let it get to your heart, because if you let it get to your heart, it might demoralize you. Just keep going. Why? Because haters will always be haters, but your value, your results will keep speaking for you. So ignore them, keep doing what you're doing, and let your results do the talking on your behalf, because people will see it, and that will be what will stand for you over the course of time. Okay.
Okay, thank you so much.
I'd ask my question.
Last question. How do I get people to recommend the value I started for?
How do I get people to recommend what?
The value I give.
Yeah. Oh, it's simple. Ask yourself, what makes you talk about something you love? If you go to a restaurant and you love the food, what makes you tell your friend that, wow, I went to a restaurant and the food was amazing, you need to go there? It's the same thing. People talk about experiences that they have that is unforgettable. Give people experiences with you that is unforgettable. Wow them every single time. Over deliver beyond what you promise. And I can guarantee you, people will refer you without you compelling them to refer you. They will just talk about you. They'll just talk about you because people are always excited to talk about something good that happened to them. So if you give value, if you give people a wow experience, if you touch people's life in a way that is unforgettable, trust me, they will speak about you. They will refer you. They'll become your brand marketers and your brand ambassadors. So don't forget that people will not go out of the way to talk about you unless you've done something for them that is of so much value that they just can't keep it in. They need to share it with others. So it goes back again to value and experiences that are unforgettable, that are delightful, that wow them, and they will just be like, I gotta share this with somebody else.
Yes. Thank you so much. Actually, everybody wants to be treated well, and everybody wants to share good things. So there's this. I eat very good pepper soup now. I'm sure I'll be calling Madame Merola. Ma'am, hard dress, please. I just want to say a very big thank you. I believe we've addressed all the questions. Yes, talking about being authentic. Much everyone for sticking with us thus far. I just want to encourage us with one thing, because she has said everything beautifully. Because as she mentioned, you're not just doing business with integrity, and outside business, you're not a person of integrity. Or integrity. So thank you so much, Madame Merola. You have come again with another bang, and I must thank everyone. Thank you. I trust we had an amazing time today. And please, as we always say before we end every session, I've gotten a lot of interesting insights into branding, personal branding. Let's just start applying it. You can start from where we are.